Hello and good evening, everyone. Uh, First of all, let me say I hope that everyone had a beautiful day today and enjoyed um, your evening as well. uh, Ran into a couple of complications set up, however, nonetheless, I'm going to jump right in here. We covered quite a bit last night and looked at quite a few things that you may not have had any knowledge about. Many of our individuals have been looking at the um, Are You Aware for quite some time and did not know exactly what they were looking at. Um, Malachi Davis, hello, how are you? Um, Before I get into what we're going to cover tonight, let me go and respond to your comments, some of your comments. Yeshua is King commented, did anyone hear anything about the misplaced UHOP members in the Hampton fire? And so far, I have to say, um, I've not heard anything as of yet, other than what it is that we had already covered. um, we don't know if there's been any effort made to get in touch with or contact anyone. However, our um, Reformation and Governance Committee, um, they did reach out and they did acquire some information um, in order to touch bases as well as simply give a word of encouragement along with our thanks and our appreciation for what it is that they've been doing. Um, so we're grateful that they were able to reach out and at least alert them to the fact that there are people out here that appreciate what it is that they do to help people in need. Black Diamonds, good evening. Good evening. um, when did the Hampton fires happen? That took place on Friday, I believe. And one second, this past Friday. One second, I just heard something. One second. Okay, making sure that everything is copacetic. Just heard some noise and wanted to go and check. Um, I'm not upset. I'm not upset. I'm happy. Good evening. But the fire took place in Hampton this past Friday. Um, and so we're hoping to hear something more. I'm going to try to go through this as quickly as possible and the information that I have tonight. Um, Julia Hawkins' Weldon family commented and said, Bishop Grace McCullough and I'm wondering why this is not the either. Okay. Um, it's no longer up. Not popping. All of the messages not popping up on my screen. But been redeemed says, Brother Lewis, if it wasn't for you and your videos, most members would be still blind and gullible to the UHOP, United House of Prayer business side, blind and gullible to the business side of the organization. The House of Prayer will never teach people anything positive. The House of Prayer leadership, um, but they will just drill you with indoctrinated lies about the bishop. No one is getting delivered and set free. Just there, people are just there to get their shout party on and go home still lost. Hopefully, God will pull the plug real soon on this satanic party. Yeah, we didn't know that it was what it was. Uh, like anyone else that was a part of uh, our organization, just like any other organization, as strongly as the people feel in the organizations that they're in, no matter what organization it is around the world, we see this happening. Um, and by many, I don't mean by no exaggeration at all. We're talking about literally hundreds of millions of people around the world, if not um, billions, are caught up in indoctrinations and simply are not aware of it. So they do all kinds of things without suspecting that the individuals that's in front of them, that's over them, that they've entrusted, doing anything whatsoever to take from them. So yes, it's bad. However, we are hopeful that this will be coming to an end soon enough. Thank you for your comment. Jesus is it commented. Great video. Nothing but infallible proof. Um, and for that person who texted that ignorant text saying, "What if Lewis is lying? Please." Um, and for that person who texted that ignorant text saying, "What if Lewis is lying? Please, Brother Lewis, stop wasting your time with stupid people." Um, there's a reply to this comment that I'll read also by Ms. Mintz. Ms. Mintz, I'd have to agree those that are ignorant, leave them be. Um, when it comes to individuals that are supportive of Mr. Cunningham, or anyone for that matter, I'm actually grateful that they take the time out to come on to the channel. It's live, so anybody can come on at any given time and share whatever their comments are, say what they'd like to say, ask what they'd like to ask. Our hope, however, is if there are individuals that disagree with what it is that we're doing, what it is that we're saying, that when they do come on, that they are at least respectful, and that they're at least respectful, um, and that they can share their thoughts without uh, offending anyone. And we hope that we don't offend anyone as well. But what happens is whenever individuals do share comments that uh, do not necessarily agree with what it is that we're saying, what it is that we're doing, then that allows us the opportunity to actually respond, and in such a way that hopefully they will understand more about what we're saying, and they will see a bigger picture than what they currently may be seeing. To be able to converse with individuals that disagree with you, sometimes it allows us to come together with a meeting of minds, so to speak. I don't have to agree with you. You don't have to agree with me, but that does not mean that we cannot have mature conversation. And the hope is that maybe I will get you to see what it is that I'm seeing so that you no longer feel the way you feel. Maybe you will be able to get me or us to see what you're saying so that we no longer feel the way that we feel. Either way, if two opposing sides never come together, then there cannot possibly be a resolution. And that's exactly the purpose of having meetings so that we can discuss issues, so that we can investigate matters and talk about problems so that we can resolve them. And that's why we're doing what we're doing. We need everybody to understand that we have problems. That way we can talk about the problems and then hopefully resolve the problems. And if that means some individuals are no longer with us, well, if that's what it takes for the better good, then so be it. If that means some people end up not liking the outcome, if it means for people to be left without getting the things that they themselves may want, so be it. If it's for the better good, then that's all we're hoping for. And for the better good, we're talking about for everyone involved. So with that in mind, we welcome any and all comments. And with that in now out there, we hope that individuals can and that they will um, that they will continue to come on so that we can have dialogue. So there will be times when we will, during like the open fellowship, right? We're working on something now. I haven't had time to look at all the details, but we're working on something now so that we can actually take phone calls live as well, and then have the discussions with individuals so that it's not taking up so much time just typing. So look for that in the next few days, hopefully sooner rather than later. But that's why it is that we do that. So with that in mind, we again desire to engage anyone, and our encouragement and our motivation to everybody that disagrees with us is to come on and let us reason together. Let's talk. Maybe we can find a mutual agreement in here somewhere. Um, that said, and I say that because we were there before. We were there where they are. That said, before I go to the next comment, I'm not upset, I'm happy, says, I don't always think people that make negative comments are actually seeking understanding, but rather starting confusion. Oh, 100%. Some people are coming on so that they can disrupt what we're doing. And we know that that's going to happen. And we know that when that happens, we can handle it. We can take care of it. But we welcome them. And maybe, just maybe, those individuals might have a pleasant experience with us and have a change of heart. Maybe we will have a pleasant experience with them, right? But we're hoping to bring everybody together. We're all in this together. We all have been lied to. We all have been deceived. We all have been manipulated. Some people's eyes are opening up today. And for some people, it's taken them a little bit longer for whatever reason. So at the end of the day, our hope is that everyone involved can remain so that all of us can move forward together. None of us asked for these things that's happening, and none of us was aware that we've been duped the way that we have. So hopefully we won't end up uh, upset with one another simply because someone sees something today that others have yet to see. So, but yes, 100%. Whenever we see individuals come on simply to start confusion, we'll nip that in the bud. But anybody who's sincerely seeking understanding, well, we can deal with that too. Um, so thank you for that comment. I'm not upset, I'm happy. Cheryl Weidman commented, a bunch of crooks in the United House of Prayer. No wonder it's all jacked up in the mind. It's going to take God to bring his people out. Wholeheartedly agree. And he does use people and he does use things. So we're grateful that this is going on. And whatever it is that he chooses to do with it, then we will sit tight, we will sit back, and we will praise and worship and adore him, not men. We will praise, worship, and adore him for all of his mighty acts and his wonders to perform, because he's opened up our eyes to truth wherein we were once blind. So, absolutely, Cheryl. Um, Salvage Sonic says, I go to W2, I think that's Washington 2, number 2. And we have two bands. One of them does hardly show up. That's probably because the senior band, if I'm correct, if this is Washington number 2, senior band Glorious Sounds, they do a lot of traveling. They're invited all over the place. It is one of the better bands, one of the best bands, if not the best band, um, in my opinion. Many of the members have their favorite bands. The Glorious Sounds has been one of the top performing bands in the organization for many, many years. And I'm not saying that because I'm privy to the Glorious Sounds, but it simply goes without question. And I don't want to go into history, but Glorious Sounds is one of, if not the, in my opinion. We know about several other bands that are top notch in the House of Prayer. One of them is Glorious Sound. So they get invited all over the place. And so they're not there at Charlotte Mission when they're traveling, if this is them, Washington number 2. You're telling me we need a band? Listen, sir, the band's is there to get the member in the spirit and get us shouting. You can shout without a band. Yes, I understand that. This was on a video where I talked about the bands for a bit. Everybody's not understanding the information that I'm putting out. That's okay. We will still respond to your comments just to thank you, as well as try to clear up any misgivings and misunderstandings. But yes, I didn't have a band at all in San Antonio. We were preparing for a band. But we grew our congregation nonetheless. In 2 years, we had 31 members. And by the third year, we had 52. The young men that were there were adamant about getting out and talking to people, and the Bible study just grew and grew and grew. And people took it seriously. And we were on the verge of having hundreds and thousands on their way. Not hundreds of, but hundreds. We were working on hundreds that were getting geared up. And then we were preparing for thousands. I gave this testimony as well. But yeah, we don't need a band to shout. People shout at home. People shout outside in their yard. But there is a purpose in the bands. As I've said before, someone else was sharing with me in a conversation that the band is the star player. They are your franchise player in that House of Prayer, the bands. Everyone knows it. If it wasn't for the bands, most people just wouldn't be coming to services. And traveling. People travel for the most part, the bands. So anyway, thank you for your comment, Salvage Sonic. Larita says, I grew up in Brooklyn, #1. For the most part, we didn't have a band. Okay. And it's like that with a lot of houses all over the place. Jola Violante, hello, Mr. and Mrs. Lewis. Wishing the women, oh yeah, we talked about, I think we touched on this. Greetings on Sunday, which many people gathered and enjoyed family for celebrating their mothers for Mother's Day with joy, peace, and blessings. Thank you, Jola Violante. Mr. What do you believe? Says St. Louis, thank you for taking the time to read, research, and present facts to support your claims. A lot of people don't realize that doing this kind of work can be a lonely road. This organization and its leadership have avoided real accountability for over 100 years, and that alone convinces many sheeple that the creator must be involved, because surely it would have collapsed by now, right? What they fail to realize is that members cannot make informed decisions when they've only been given one version of the story. We already know that these self-proclaimed men of God have lied. They don't even properly deny the accusations anymore. They just recycle threatening epistles and guilt trips. Quote, make the lie big, repeat it often, and people will believe it, unquote. I challenge my United House of Prayer sisters and brothers to research what Americans and foreigners were doing in Cuba while Grace claimed he was drawing souls into the household of faith, and why many of them were eventually kicked off the island. What happened to the property Mr. Grace owned in Cuba? Did Mr. Grace ever attempt to preach his gospel in his native Cape Verde? So God wanted him to save everybody except his own poor and oppressed people. The greatest weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the minds of the oppressed. I'd argue the greatest weapon in the hands of Daddy is the unquestioning loyalty of people taught not to think critically. We built communities. We sacrificed. We gave our labor, money, talent, and time, then handed selfish men the credit while they acted like kings. Many of us loved them more than we loved ourselves. I could say much more, but I'll stop right there and wait for another epistle to drop. Yeah, as always, Mr. What do you believe? Very much on point. And they made a comment that we built the communities, the people sacrificed, the people gave labor, money, talent, and time. Then the men took the credit for it. With that in mind, we've seen time and time and time again that this has happened and taken place. And for these reasons and so many others, the comments that you all have made, that's what this is all about. I want to read one more, and then I'm going to come back to the comments in another video. But another one from Mr. What do you believe? It's amazing how long manipulation can hide behind religion when people are taught that questioning leadership is rebellion. It's amazing how long manipulation can hide behind religion when people are taught that questioning leadership is rebellion. When people are given the impression to question them is to rebel, then they sit back and say nothing, then manipulation will continue to thrive. Many talented people, namely band boys, are encouraged to use their God given gifts publicly, as long as the profits and control stayed with the bishop. Money earned through legal talent could fund luxurious lifestyles for leadership. Yet members were often made to feel guilty for using those same resources to improve their own lives or support their families. Even failed marriages become a tool for blame. If leadership approved it and it failed, the member lacked obedience. If leadership disapproved it and it failed, the failure was still placed on the member for not doing enough. The system protects itself by making the follower responsible for every outcome while leadership escapes accountability. This is quite profound. A title only has power because people believe it without question. As the old saying goes, a fool and his money are soon parted. Wisdom begins the moment people stop confusing control with spirituality. And I could not have put it better myself. As a result of everything that he said, we all have been blinded. We all have been blinded. And because we were blinded, we didn't want to do anything that tilted the needle, right, in the opposite direction of favor. We wanted to do everything we could to keep a smile on their faces. As a result, this is how we got here. So let's get into what we're here for tonight. I'm going to come back to more of the comments in another video. However, right now, as I stated earlier, someone had said something pertaining to people's comments. Those who have issues. We're going to talk about tonight the parts of a formal meeting and then a couple of other things. But a formal meeting, the General Assembly, some of this might sound as if you've heard some of it before, just bear with me, because we need to go over this and cover all the basics. So a formal meeting is not just a group of people talking. People can come together and have conversation, sit down and discuss different subjects and topics. That's not necessarily a formal meeting. And before I continue, let me go back to these comments. Yeshua's King says, talking with a United House of Prayer member about the walk-a-thon, asking the question, what are y'all walking for? Susan B. Coleman or cancer? What are y'all walking for? Susan B. Coleman or cancer research or something? Where's the money going here? The answer, they did not know. This is why we're here. Too many times over the last 100 years, members of our organization have been asked questions that we do not know the answers to. Now we're getting into understanding the importance of asking those questions because there are legal ramifications that will be coming up. For the General Assembly delegates and anybody else that may have been aware of what's been going on, but did nothing whatsoever to stop it. We're going to get into that and we're going to understand it. B. Meverman, good evening. Good evening. But a formal meeting is not just people sitting down and just talking. That's not a formal meeting. A formal meeting is a structured process designed to help a group. A formal meeting is a process that's designed to help a group. So we meet about something. Why? There's something that we need. There's something that needs attention. There's something that needs to be handled or resolved. In the meeting, a formal meeting, we have something set up, what we're referring to, Robert's Rules of Order, that allows us to, one, make decisions fairly. We've had a lot of decisions that have been made, but not many of those decisions have been made fairly. Many, if not most or all of those decisions were made without people's involvement. Many of those decisions, if not most or all of, were made without the people's knowledge. Case in point, last year, the General Assembly, there were rules put into place, okay? There were rules put into place for the delegates when they arrived. And not only were there new rules that they knew nothing of, but they actually took it upon themselves to confiscate cell phones, watches, and eyeglasses. There was something pertaining to individuals also being questioned or asked pertaining to weapons. Even though some people said that they understand why that was done, the problem here is if the people had no involvement in it, people did not decide, people did not discuss it, people did not vote, then you cannot arbitrarily just create new rules and mandate that people follow it. That's why this meeting is so important, because so many things have been happening without the people's knowledge, without the people's consent. And these things that's being put into place, the people are being held to those things without knowing that they don't have to be held to those things at all because they're illegal rules. Anytime, listen, you go to work tomorrow morning, your job, you've been there for the last 10 years. And then you get there 9 o'clock and you're questioned after you punch in about the time that you arrived. And no problem, as normal, same time, same routine. But then you get a warning. Why? Because now work does not start at 9 o'clock. Work starts at 8 a.m. But why are you getting written up? Especially if you weren't aware of it. More importantly, you had no say-so in your shift being bumped up an hour earlier. It's the same thing whenever in a nonprofit, individuals take it upon themselves to create new rules and then stipulate that those rules must be followed or there's a penalty. Can't do that. It is unlawful. Now, these rules for Robert's Rules of Order, they allow the meeting to stay organized. They protect everybody's rights, everyone. And having these rules of order will allow for there to be an accurate record kept of everything that's said and done in the meeting. Here's the problem right now. Even though, we've been having these meetings year in and year out. Question: how do you all know that accurate records have been kept of all of these General Assembly meetings? We don't know. There's no knowledge of accurate records being kept. And you want to know why? Because the people have been trained and conditioned to waive the reading of the minutes. Whenever you waive the reading of the minutes, you just said, I don't need to know what happened in the last meeting. I don't want to know what happened in the last meeting. I don't even care to know what happened in the last meeting. The problem with that is that can get you into some serious trouble with the laws of the regulating agencies. Because every single meeting, the minutes that were recorded must be approved and adopted. How can you adopt minutes if you've never heard the minutes? And this is another reason that we know that the General Counsel has been working as a board of directors. I said yesterday that whenever they don't have a reading of the minutes inside the General Assembly, it's because during the General Counsel the night before, it is said that they read them there. Excuse me. But when they read the General Assembly meetings in the General Counsel, the members don't even know what's the purpose of reading the minutes in the General Counsel, especially when the General Counsel has absolutely nothing to do with the General Assembly. Okay? So in listening to these videos, you're going to acquire so much knowledge so that you will be able to catch when certain things are being done that should not be done. These rules will also, besides keeping accurate records, will also allow for the meeting to be conducted and allow the people to handle business efficiently. Under Robert's Rules of Order, every single part of a meeting has a purpose. Every part. Each step of a meeting exists to prevent confusion, unfairness, wasted time, and the biggie, abuse of power. When an individual is in a position or has a title and they wield their fist, flexing their muscles, making it known, I have power over you, to tell you this, to tell you that, you do X, Y, Z. If it's unlawful, if it's out of line, if it's outside the procedures, it is an abuse of powers. Remember, especially in a formal meeting, especially a board or general assembly, every single person in there are equal. Every member of the General Assembly has equal power. No one at all has any power whatsoever over anybody else in the General Assembly. All titles, all positions, and those responsibilities and obligations that come along with those titles and positions, all of that stays at the door when you come in. It does not matter if you, it does not matter if you are the president. It doesn't matter if you're the owner. Your titles stay at the door. Without structure, without the use of Robert's Rules of Order, meetings quickly become chaotic and ineffective. So let's look at the different parts and see why they're all so important. First of all, the meeting is called to order. Now, remember what our order of business looks like here. Let me get one where they did not have a hidden agenda. Oh, no, you know what? I'm going to just show you. I can show you this one. We can use it. This one. Here, when you see this, order of business. 1, roll call. 2, next, minutes of the last General Assembly. Now we know, again, that they're going to waive the reading of the minutes, not this year, but in the past. So we're not going to give a whole lot of time to the reading of the minutes. Now, after the reading of the minutes, you have the election of bishop. Now, that's not going to be every year, so we're going to move that aside. And then you have the election of secretary. And here that says general discussion for proposals and then adjournment. The problem with this, the people didn't vote on it. The people did not vote on it. So on tomorrow evening, we're going to show you what a real agenda looks like. And you need to know tonight that when it comes to the General Assembly, every single thing from the very beginning, you have a hand in it. You have a responsibility to have a hand and take part in every single part of it. And it begins with the minutes being sent out. If they're not sent out, then it is important for you to sit there, no matter how long it takes, to let them read the minutes. Why? Because you need to understand every single thing that was in the last meeting. Now, I'm going to come back to that in a few minutes. But once the meeting is called to order, game on. Action. The call to order is the official beginning. It is the official beginning. The official beginning of the General Assembly is not orientation. That's why they don't make a big deal out of orientation. They should, but they don't, because that's not the actual meeting. But once it's called to order, the time should be written down as a timestamp. The chairperson or the presiding officer announces the meeting will come to order. Now, I need y'all to understand me. This is why I said we can use this one. Whenever y'all see at the top of this program, General Assembly session, General Assembly called to order. As soon as they do that, everything is game on. Now, here's the thing. This is a General Assembly. Look at that. Song, scripture, and prayer. What do y'all think? Does that go on the religious side or the business side? I'm telling you all, you have to look at everything. The services begin with song, scripture, prayer. But how many corporate board of directors do you all know, or would you all guess, that they're opening up their board meetings with somebody singing a song, somebody reading scripture, and somebody having prayer? This is the business side, but they've been opening it up as if it's the religious side. And the reason why they've been opening with song, scripture, and prayer is because they need the people that's there in the General Assembly to be thinking like they're in a service. Why? Because in the service, they're looking at the man in the front as bishop. They're looking at these other men up in the front as counsel. And so it automatically sets the tone in the minds of the members of the General Assembly that we're not here for business. We're here for another religious ceremony. We're here for another religious program. We're here for house of prayer service. We're here to please the bishop. So when the members see that, look at how they begin. Let us open up our meeting, first of all, by clapping our hands for sweet, 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 precious, blah, 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 blah. Right there, it starts. Everybody, their mind is now on the leader, who's the bishop. They're not thinking business. So when that happens, then song. That song might be something about the bishop. How much we love you. And then scripture and prayer. And how do they end the prayer? Let us raise our hands, repeat prayerfully after me. We thank and praise thee. Everything's set up. In business, you will not have those things taking place in business. Can you? Yes, you can, if the General Assembly votes on it. But remember, the General Assembly secretary has always been a councilman. And the councilman's job is to run and oversee the tone of the General Assembly while also slipping things right in front of the people's faces, right through the General Assembly, so that they can become law inside the Constitution to serve the bishops. We already know this now. So they need to set the tone by putting the people's minds on that man. So by the time he comes into this board meeting, otherwise known as a General Assembly, now he's coming in as the bishop and not really as the CEO. Why is this important when we're talking about opening a meeting? It signals that the meeting has officially started. The members should stop all side conversations, and the organization is now conducting official business, not a service, not exalting a bishop, not lifting him up or anybody else. Calling the meeting to order, you're now starting official business. Here's a question. If the bishop is being evaluated for performance problems, if he's being evaluated because of allegations or complaints, how are we going to have an official meeting to handle that business when everybody is clapping their hands for the holy anointed manservant? This is why it does not happen. You come in, you open that meeting like it's a meeting, and you leave all ceremonial rights and all that other stuff on that side. That way, you're not messing with the heads of the people who's there to take care of business. That's further manipulation. By doing that, it creates focus and discipline. And everybody know, oh, you know what? We're here for business now. I'm not upset. I'm happy says they're walking for A.D. Cunningham. That's it. No specific cause, no reason. That's it. Miss Mintz at Black Diamonds, I believe May 8th is when the fire occurred. To answer your question about the fire. The lives of him and her. Welcome, everyone. Please subscribe and hit that thumbs up button and show your support. Don't forget to set your notification bell to stay updated. Email address, we stand for right 2024 @gmail.com. Thank you again. Ms. Kareem, good evening, everyone. Golden Boy, I'm caught up now. Hey, y'all. How are you? I'm not upset. I'm happy. So how do the members stop the song, scripture, and prayer from happening if they try to do it? They're gonna try to do anything and everything. But once again, before next week comes up, you all will understand how an official meeting is supposed to go. So understand this. Every single thing inside of a meeting goes in the direction that the people vote for it to go. So whenever there's a motion put on the floor, that motion is seconded, and the people hear the motion. If they want, they can talk about it, have a discussion, but then there's a vote. All those in favor, aye. All those who oppose, same sign. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But that's how you do it. Every meeting has an agenda, which is why we're going to talk about that on tomorrow night. The meeting agenda, the order of business, the program, all that stuff is not supposed to be given to you when you get there. You're supposed to have a hand in it. You're supposed to decide it. If everyone in that meeting is equal, then why are you being told what you're going to do when you get there instead of being asked What are we going to do? What is the business that we want to discuss? What is the business that we need to take care of? What is the business that we need to look into? That is how a board meeting is ran. Not being told what you're going to do. And then, well, we don't have nothing else for you, so that's the end, and y'all can go ahead and get ready to leave. A real meeting does not happen that way. Exactly right, Golden Boy. They don't want us to know that General Assembly is supposed to be all of their performance review, right? Again, you are the bosses. The members are the bosses. They are employees. And at the drop of a hat, the members can wipe it all out. Because you are the board. You serve as the board. Now, I'm going to say this because many people are wondering, but what if there is a board that we don't know anything about? Their answer is right there inside of that question. What if there's a board that we know nothing about? We know there's a lot of things that we know nothing about. And a board is supposed to be official. It's supposed to act officially in behalf of, on behalf of, for the best interest of the organization and its members. The board does not walk in to a boardroom, sit down in a seat, and somebody hand them papers and they're surprised with, oh, okay, we're going to look at this today. Oh, okay, we're not going to talk about anything today. We got an anniversary celebration. Oh, we're going to listen to, oh, got it, the Bailey Senior General Counsel. And they're going to put on a presentation. All this paperwork is necessary for the people to understand you are in charge. Now, when you get further into understanding the call to order, the purpose that it serves is the call to order establishes the authority of the person who's going to chair that meeting. For me to say, at this time, we're going to call our meeting to order, that immediately gets people's attention, all eyes on me. It means I'm going to be the one orchestrating. I'm going to direct horn line, drums, cymbal, strings, just like an opera. Okay? All you're doing is drawing attention to, like a teacher in a classroom. Yes. Okay. Stop, Tracy. No, don't do that. Raise your hand. Okay, go ahead. That's all they do. It establishes authority and it creates professionalism. It marks the beginning of the official record. The timestamp, 11:04 a.m. Now we begin. The secretary usually records the exact starting time in the minutes. Again, it is your timestamp. If that is not done in a formal meeting, the problems that might arise is members may not know when business officially begins. How do they know? How are they supposed to know when you're supposed to start? It is the opportunity right then and there to allow them to see we've started our meeting. It's right here. It's right now. And confusion develops if they don't call the meeting to order. People still talking, people still doing whatever, and the meeting is not called to order. Unofficial conversations may get mistaken for official decisions if it's not called to order. How are we?
Good. How are you?
Oh, we're good. Unofficial conversations may get mistaken for official decisions. So it begins everything. Everything else stops, and official business for that meeting begins. Okay. The second part of the meeting, after the call to order, the very first thing after the call to order is roll call. What is roll call? This is where the secretary checks who is present. Secretary checks who's present. This may be done by calling names of each individual, by passing around a sign-in sheet, or by visual confirmation. That means people raise their hand or people stand up. Most of the time, it has been done by simply calling out a name. You can say present, right? But you can do this a variety of ways. Why is it important to have a roll call or attendance? The attendance determines whether or not something called a quorum exists. In the beginning of the meeting, if you have if you have 100 people, let's keep it simple, 100 people that's scheduled to be there, those are the delegates or the members. If it's 100 people and only 48 people are present during the roll call, now you don't have a quorum. We're going to talk about a quorum in a little bit. But if you don't have a quorum, you may have a problem. The attendance sheet also shows who it is that's officially participating. The attendance sheet. It shows who's officially participating. It shows who's not, who's there, who's present, who's a part of this meeting. The purpose that the attendance sheet and the roll call serves is it protects fairness and legitimacy by saying that out of 100 people, we only have 48. We could not have a vote. People can say, oh, wow, okay, I understand. So was another meeting date set? Excuse me. And if there was not more than 48 people, if there was not a quorum, then the vote did not take place as a result of not having the majority of the people there. In order to make a law, pass a law, there must be what is called a quorum. Now, if that quorum is not present, then it can be deemed unlawful that you all had a vote and pass something when you didn't have enough people. Out of 100 people, is it feasible to say that we had 19 members here? We went on with the meeting anyhow. No. You can have a meeting, but you cannot vote on any significant business without a quorum. Important decisions should never, ever be made by a tiny group of people while everybody's absent. People can challenge that. Just because, excuse me, I said it before when we first started, just because people are sitting down talking does not mean that they're having a meeting where they can just do anything. You have to have that quorum. So if the quorum out of 20 people is 11 people, one more than half, right? If the quorum is 11 people and 12 people are present, well, since you've established a quorum, 11 people or more is a quorum. Since you've established that quorum, well, legal business can proceed. You can go ahead and discuss whatever, talk about whatever, and put it to a vote because you have the majority of the body present. So the majority is still there. The majority is present. But if there's not 11, the quorum is 11. If there's not 11, if you have 9 people there, 8 people, or if it's not 11, well, now you're going to have problems. Why? Because it says less than half of the people weren't even present. Why would you go on to vote on something that half the people had no knowledge of, had no input in, had no part of the discussion, did not vote on it? Now, do you all understand the huge problem of having a Constitution Revision Committee? No bishop has the authority to take a group of people and tell them to make suggestions to change the Constitution. I want you to make a suggestion. And then when we get these 4 or 5 people who's going to make up the Constitution Revision Committee, y'all work on it. Y'all give me recommendations. Then we're going to go ahead and get the books printed up and we'll pass it through the General Assembly by Mr. General Assembly Secretary. You hear me, General Assembly Secretary? Yes, sir. I got it. I got it. Yes, sir. Now they're going to push it through, even though the entire organization had nothing to do with it. You're talking about 4 or 5 people. And now we have evidence to show that only 4 or 5 people at the approval of the bishops has been behind revising our constitutions. While the people are being taken advantage of and ripped off left and right. Right? So now, if 8 members are present instead of 11, then you can talk, but you can't vote. Cannot vote. Didn't have a quorum. So Robert's Rules of Order, once again, makes it fair, makes it just, makes it equal. If you don't have a quorum, without the attendance record, if you don't have a roll call, without the attendance record, if there's no attendance record, illegal meetings may occur, meaning people can get together at Subway and get together at the library and get together at Denny's, right? Anywhere they want. They can get together. And when they get together, they can do whatever and say that we handled business. We took care of this, we took care of that. But it's only a handful of people. And this is why I keep reiterating, talking about the Constitution Revision Committee, because that's exactly what they did. When you're using 5 people to change the Constitution, that's exactly what they did. Um, yes, we know that people around the organization are looking to hear something from these men. So they'll write out letters and kind of prepare you for orders that they're going to send. Right. But we've been doing this for so long now that we're conditioned to all of the orders of these men, these bishops. And now we're at a point where um, the people have seen that they've been doing this almost the entire time, if not the entire time. So if there is no roll call, illegal meetings may occur. Votes, if there's no roll call, votes, watch carefully, watch carefully. If there are no roll call, if there's no roll call, votes may be altered and changed later on down the line. Votes of the people can be altered or changed later on down the line. Why? Because there's no roll. And if there's no roll, you don't know who's there. And they can take that list and do almost whatever they want to do with it. You look at the 23 and 22 General Assembly. Both of those General Assemblies were set up completely different. When you look at 24 and 25 General Assembly, both of those General Assemblies were set up similar to one another. When you look at the General Assembly that was held in October of 23, completely different. How is it that all of these General Assemblies were conducted differently? Because you have a handful of people making decisions for everybody without the people's consent. They're saying that they've had meetings. I showed you a form where the chairperson of the committee, which was Mr. Howe, how he gave his report. But the problem is that that committee is not an official, nor is it a legal committee, because the body of members had nothing to do with it. Therefore, all of these assemblies with all of these rules are null and void. This year, we should, for the first time, be seeing a complete difference in how the General Assembly is to be run. Now, again, they're going to be making preparation. I know right now many of you are thinking that there's nothing's going to stop these people. Again, don't worry about all that. We're going to do our part. You do your part and learn. And then the rest will take care of itself. So understand that the roll call serves that purpose. And it also says, if there is not a roll, then there's no accountability. We don't know any of the meeting discussions that were held by the Constitution Revision Committee. The members don't know nothing. The members don't know how many meetings that they had. Mr. Bailey said that they were meeting for 8 months. We don't know who was in attendance of those meetings. We don't know what they were saying. We don't know what's said. The problem here is that It breeds issues when we're not doing things correctly. The third thing, the next part of a meeting, call to order, roll call, immediately after the roll call, we're supposed to have approval of the minutes. What is the approval of minutes? The minutes from the previous meeting are supposed to be read, reviewed, as well as approved, just like y'all do in your regular meetings for your clubs and auxiliaries. At this time, we're going to have the reading of our minutes. And that way, if there's a discrepancy somewhere in the minutes, then whoever's chairing, you've heard the reading of the minutes. Are you ready for question? Unreadiness. Unreadiness. What is your unreadiness? I heard something about the bake sale last summer, that it was held in Pittsburgh. That needs to be corrected. It was not held in Pittsburgh. It was held in Wilmington. Now, many people may say, well, that's not important. It is absolutely important because, one, Pittsburgh is not true. Wilmington is true. And if there's things inside the minutes that is not true, well, now that brings the entire minutes into question. Okay? Now they're brought into question. Whenever you're done reading the minutes, the chair asks, are there any corrections to the minutes? And that's where that comes in, to make that correction. After all corrections have been made, then are you ready for question? Question. All of those in favor of adopting the minutes with these necessary corrections, let it be known by saying aye. That is important because now the people have had a part of the process. The people have heard the minutes from the last meeting. They've had a chance to write down notes for the discussion for this meeting. They had a chance to write down who did what and said what in the last meeting. And they heard about everything that they covered so that they're not in the dark. This part, the minutes are the organization's official history. The minutes are the organization's history. The record of the minutes is accurate. How do we know? Because the people heard it, they discussed it, and they voted on it to approve it, after being given the opportunity to correct anything that needs to be corrected. So where you see one of the councilmen up there writing, you don't know what they're writing. We don't know what they're writing. We have no idea. How could we? So when they read the minutes, now you have another protocol. You have to approve them, and the people to do that. How can you approve minutes that's not read at all? All these years and all these general assemblies, how have the minutes been getting approved? We have a problem. The purpose of, again, reading them, all the members come into agreement. Those are the things that I remember us talking about in the last meeting. There's nothing that was missed. Now, When it comes to the minutes again, they provide legal documentation that helps to settle legal disputes. Right now, if outside come in, the first thing they're going to look for are minutes to meetings. They want to know who allowed the organization to have all of these decisions being made, all these business transactions, all this money being spent all over the country for all these years by one man over all this property, all this money, and all these people. Who sat in meetings and allowed this? So then they want the minutes. The minutes will tell the tale. But we have a problem, Houston. Our people don't know nothing about any minutes. And the only ones who do, are the general council. General council members, bishop, maybe staff, but the people have nothing. Now, the minutes are supposed to include motions, votes, actions taken during that meeting, and the times that the meeting opened and the time that it closed. There are no personal options. There's no personal minutes that can be pulled into an official record without, again, the body that's there putting those minutes together. With all of the members of the organization coming together to write out minutes, take their own notes, they can be now used. They can be used. But again, outside, they don't know what's going on inside. Outside, this is how this is supposed to go. This is how this is supposed to go. Instead of you all writing your own minutes and then going back and reading your minutes, the way this is supposed to go is you all, the delegates, are supposed to come and take notes, not write minutes. Take notes. Look at names, look at dates, look at places, look at things, look at how much this was paid for, how much that was paid for, how much, all these questions. But nobody has a clue, right? So when it comes to all these different minutes, they can't be verified because when the person goes back to their house, how do the members know that that's what happened if they weren't there? You have only two people that were there, pastor and the other delegate. So when the General Assembly already has a recording secretary, which they do, those minutes should be copied and sent out. That way now every congregation has a set of minutes coming from the General Assembly secretary. When they're sent out, those minutes should be compared to the minutes that was written by your delegate, giving you two sets of minutes When you look at the minutes again, they're supposed to have the meeting times as well as the actions taken, the votes, and the motions. Minutes do not include gossip. Minutes do not include people's personal opinions. Minutes do not include long debates going back and forth. Don't include that. Just what was done, what was put on the floor as a motion. You let people talk. You don't talk. You don't write down all that stuff. Let them talk. And then at the conclusion of that discussion, whatever actions taken, that's what goes into the minutes. After the minutes are read, discussed, and adopted, the agenda should be brought up. The agenda is the portion of the meeting where the members get to determine what we're going to talk about today. One person, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, they don't tell the members of the organization / the delegates of the General Assembly, they don't tell them what they're going to talk about. An agenda is supposed to be a proposed agenda. Every agenda in the beginning of a meeting is a proposal. I propose that we conduct business on this agenda. Everyone has a copy. Everybody looks at it. Motions put on the floor. And then the people discuss or vote on it. You're voting on the agenda. Maybe there's things on the agenda you don't want. Strike it, remove it, vote on the remainder. You strike that whole agenda altogether if you want. When you have an agenda that the people have approved of, now you can get going. Because now it's official. Without an agenda that the people did not discuss and approve, you have an unofficial agenda, which means the people are coming to literally deal with your agenda. And you have cunningly tricked the people to not deal with any other agenda that they may not know anything about. So when the people have the opportunity to vote on an agenda, they also have the opportunity to put a motion on the floor to include something in the agenda that may not already be there. They may vote to remove something from the agenda that they don't want to be there. Anything and everything, all things can happen, and it can go any way, depending on the people and their vote. I don't know why I'm yawning like this. Depending on the people and their vote. So, after that agenda is done, this right here, this is a joke. This is an absolute joke. But this is set up intentionally this way. It's purposeful. Again, to distract you, to get you to come in and think that you're doing business, then you're gone. And you're gone so that you can hurry up to get changed, hurry up and get dressed, hurry up and get the boys, hurry up and get the girls, hurry up and get your stuff so you can hurry up and get out to the house of prayer. Because your mind was not on business. Your mind was on another service that we're having while we go to General Assembly and we're going to adore our bishop. Mm-mm. Business at hand. A part of that agenda should be, could be, would be, supposed to be something pertaining to an evaluation of the CEO and anybody else in any other position of government within the organization. The people should have something that they can show the regulatory agencies that they have conducted regular evaluations of anybody who's in positions of authority. And this is where we are going to have a problem, because we don't have any of that. Let's look further. Let me go down to Golden Boy. They don't want us to know that General Assembly is supposed to be all of their performance review. We talked about that. Yes, true. Big J's. Hello, Charlotte. Hello. Golden Boy, welcome, Big J's. Golden Boy, council does this. Private meetings. Yes, council has private meetings all the time. All the time. Why? Because they're acting as a board. I'll tell you something else. Not all the councilmen are included on the councilmen's meetings. You have a group of men on that council that comes together and have meetings while keeping the other men out. And then you have a group of men inside that group of men, a smaller, tight-knit group that has more meetings that they keep the others out of the knowledge of that as well. But the problem is, can they furnish minutes for all these meetings? Because again, they're not supposed to have any governing powers. They're not supposed to be having any authority over the organization. They're not supposed to be doing anything at all behind the backs of the members. So this stuff needs to be cleaned. Golden Boy says 2 perspectives on minutes to ensure accuracy. Right. Ensure accuracy, and so that there's nothing, no funny business down the line. And so all the people should know what's in the minutes, so that you know what happened in that last meeting, so that you can continue fixing it, working on it, or say that it's resolved. How do you know that there's not a bunch of mistakes? Or they've been running circles around the people. Let's look further. I didn't realize, Golden Boy says, I didn't realize that. Nice. Does it happen? I think you're talking about the agenda. Yes, many meetings have votes on the agenda. One second. Many meetings have votes on the agenda. When we look at Here. In a properly functioning nonprofit, the board chair, not the CEO, owns the agenda, often developing it with the CEO to ensure it focuses on governance and not just operations. While the agenda is typically sent out in advance, the board formally approves it, often by a motion to approve at the start of that meeting. Look at the approval process. While namely voted on formally for approval, usually approved by consensus or motion, the board has the right to amend the agenda to add, remove, or change topics. Okay? In the beginning of a meeting, boards are not given an agenda by the CEO. Remember, the CEO is hired by the board. A CEO is fired by the board. The only time a CEO is going to be given an agenda is if the board requests for the CEO to give them an agenda. But the CEO is not going to be coming and telling the board, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to do, and that's it. And if y'all don't like it, then, oh well, deal with it. That's not going to happen. Only here have we, the members of the General Assembly, been coming with no anything in advance, know anything about business that's going to be conducted other than, let me fix that. The things that the members are given are the things that they want the members to have, because that's what their agenda is for the people. Okay? So, in the beginning of the meeting, after roll call, after the call of order to open the meeting, after roll call, then the agenda, roll call, then the minutes are read. After that, then the agenda is voted on. So that now from that agenda, they're going to work the rest of the meeting. And again, I'm going to show you this tomorrow. Golden Boy, no. Does secretary do minutes and send them to the congregations? No. The secretary of the General Assembly does not send any minutes to the congregations whatsoever. None at all, which is a problem. The minutes that's taken by the secretary of the General Assembly or the assistant secretary of the General Assembly, whatever minutes they have taken, the members never seen them. There's nothing that has ever, to my knowledge, in all my years in the organization, nothing has ever been sent to the members for them to look at anything about minutes. And this is what I'm telling you all. We have so many problems because the members don't know anything, nothing whatsoever. All we can do is tell people, I don't know. If you get questioned about anything, I don't know. And this is dangerous when it comes to a General Assembly because, again, you've seen all these different religious leaders getting taken into custody, arrested, put in to prison, going to court and having hearings about all these things that they were doing, all these things they were doing. But yet, the board would be questioned. And once the board is questioned, now the board is going to have to deal with the penalties. Because if the board was aware of all the things that they were doing and they did nothing about it, then the board was held responsible. The board was held responsible. 1 second. All right. Now, the congregations, to your other question, do they get a chance to compare? No. Not one delegate has, to my knowledge, and I was the delegate many, many times, not one delegate has ever gotten a packet from the General Assembly, not once, so that they can compare their minutes or to read the minutes from the General Assembly Secretary to the congregation. In other words, we have never heard anything as far as minutes are concerned pertaining to the General Assembly. And that's by design, because they know that they've never allowed the members of the organization to conduct business as a General Assembly / Board of Directors. They've been operating by using the General Counsel as the Board of Directors and doing everything behind the backs of the members of the organization. And that's why the members have never, ever heard of the minutes. Now, they say that you can go to the council and hear the minutes when they're read, but that's out of order. Because according to this is the General Assembly program. And on the General Assembly program, it says right here, let me see, it says right here that the minutes of the last General Assembly is going to be read. So why is it that you're telling people that they can hear the minutes in the General Counsel when it's on the business order of business that the minutes are going to be read? It's because they know that they have already prepared councilmen to get up and say, I want to motion, I move that we waive the reading of the minutes for sake of time, or whatever it is that they say. I second that motion. Y'all see them get right up automatically, make their way to the mic. And then the people fall in line. All those in favor of, you've heard a motion, are you ready for question? Question. All those in favor of waiving the reading of the minutes for sake of time, blah, blah, blah. And the people sit there and do this, not having a clue that everything that's supposed to be going on in that day has something to do with those minutes. Now, when you've been waiving them, how have the minutes been getting approved? Because the General Counsel's doing it instead of the people. So, next question is from Baby Blue. Hello, Baby Blue. How do we know if the General Assembly Secretary or the assistant have ever recorded in minutes? There's your problem. We don't. This is why we have to fix this. How do you fix it? Got to clear house. Anything and everything with any position that has been filled by these men, these general councilmen, the men working with them, the staff at the top, even pastors in all these different positions, that's just giving the chairmen a pass, giving the chairmen a pass, giving the chairman a pass. They're not doing nothing whatsoever looking out for the best interests of the members, and they're not looking out for the best interests of the organization. They're protecting the bishop. Like the Supreme Law says, The general counsel's job is to protect the organization and the bishop, the leader. But according to the laws of the land, regulating agencies, no group of people in any nonprofit are supposed to be working and exhausting their efforts to protect the CEO. The CEO should not need protection. Why? Because there's nothing the CEO is supposed to be doing wrong. If the CEO is doing everything he's supposed to be doing, then why does he need protection? They're supposed to protect the organization and the members, not the CEO. But since they've been working hand in hand with the CEO, as well as working for the CEO, and then this pastor's been coming right behind them and saying nothing to the people, keeping the people ignorant of how the laws work, the CEO has literally utilized under every single administration the people under them and around them to protect them while he uses the nonprofit itself for his own personal benefit. And none of this knew. None of the people knew. But that's what's been going on while deceiving us into thinking that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing as a quote unquote church. So the religious side is real because the people, the members have made it real. But according to the business side, the leaders of the organization has been running game on everybody over here while causing the people over here to put all of your trust in them. And that's why they have to tell you things like they're the representative of God. They were sent here by Jesus. They were put all these things. The Father did, the Most High did, Yahuwah, Yahusha's using them. Everything. To see me, you see them. To hear me, you hear them. It is to instill fear in the people so that they do nothing to them in that position so they can continue running game. That's why y'all saw all of those post office boxes in Charlotte and all these different people that money is going to in Washington, D.C. at Portal Drive. And they're trying as best as they can to keep the people afraid and intimidated so that they can walk in there, 6 in them street, not this week, next week, and walk out and still have the same positions and the approval by the people to do what they've been doing. Now, I'm going to show you all that if that happens, you have invited upon yourself a world of issues that you're going to be learning about down the line. And I don't mean down the line, way, way down the line. I mean very, very soon. Here's a question. How do we know if the General Assembly Secretary, right, Baby Blue? As I stated in previous live videos, I've served on 2 different boards. As I've stated in previous live videos, I've served on 2 different boards. At each board meeting, the minutes from the previous meeting always were read in the board meeting. Right, always, right. Both CEOs of the boards that I've served on are shaking their heads because they cannot believe how this happened and no repercussions. I'm telling y'all, people outside don't believe that this is going on. This right here has got to be the biggest joke in the history of a nonprofit. People don't believe this is true. Like, the young man sounds sincere, but he's got to be making that up. He's got to be. I can't believe that this is what's going on. And I'm telling you all, people all over the place are paying attention and don't believe these things to be true because they're so outlandish. And now we have a witness who worked on 2 boards, and there's other people on here right now that worked on boards as well. They can also confirm and verify that in a board meeting, you're going to hear the minutes. You will never, ever have people in a board meeting moving to waive the reading of the minutes. That's not going to happen. Anyway, thank you, Baby Blue, for confirming the information that I'm sharing. I know it's ridiculous, you all. This is crazy. But it's true. Baby Blue continues. The so-called General Assembly of the United House of Prayer is really a joke and pathetic. Yes, it is. But we can change that. And what I'm doing now, with the help of a few others, we're doing everything to change the scope and the mindset of the people so that once and for all, you can walk in there. I'm telling you, just sit back and listen. You don't have to believe me tonight. You don't have to believe me tomorrow. But by next week, you're going to know that this right here, when you walk into that room, this is our meeting. It's not their meeting. It's our meeting. And I'm going to show you how you're supposed to conduct yourself when it comes to somebody who's been acting up on the job and they're daring the employers to do anything about it. Okay? Because these people have been cutting up all over the place on the job. And they've gotten away with it so much that they're so brazenly bold to think that we're going to keep doing whatever we want to do, and ain't none of y'all going to do nothing about it. Okay. Just pay attention. Baby Blue continues and says, I do hope and pray that someone in the so-called General Assembly will stand up for what is right and do what is right. Yeah, don't worry about the people in the General Assembly. Everybody, I'm telling you, we have so much to put out that all the people of the General Assembly, they're going to be learning as we are. And let me put it like this. Let me share it this way. This is going to be the most trying time in the General Assembly in the history of the House of Prayer. But it's only because of what's going on in the organization within our leadership. That's why it's going to be trying. So who's going to be tried? The leaders. The members are not going to be tried. And we're going to do everything in our power to make sure the members know, no. Y'all not the ones who's going to be tested. The leaders are going to be tested. And by the time we get done, y'all going to understand exactly why I'm saying not to worry about the people that are the delegates. It's a common concern because our delegates have never, ever done anything. Year in, year out, they go in and they just tell them to vote. Do you know what you're voting on? No, I don't. Do you know why you raise your hand? Nope, I just know that he wants me to raise it, right? And this is what we do. Year in, year out. Year in, year out. And that's why it's so difficult for people to believe that anybody's going to do anything. What I'm saying is, don't worry about it. This is a new day. And the people are about to be nudged awake. That's why they're scared. Because they see what's coming. They see what's coming. Let me put it like this. Instead of us looking at the delegates, whoever they may be, and considering who will, who might not, my question for our delegates is, when you're seeing and hearing this information, how's it making you feel? Is this information comfortable to hear? Is this information putting you in a state of relaxation? Is this information allowing you to tell yourself that when you're sitting inside of that room and you can make the difference for the entire organization and put a stop to all of these types of things that involve corruption and criminal activity? For you to be the one times 137 other individuals times two. So we're potentially looking at 274 people, not one person, 274 people, along with an additional 137 pastors. So instead of 274 people, now we're looking at 374, 404, 411 people. That's not including the council. That's including pastors and delegates. Now, I know a handful of the councilmen are pastors. I know. But out of 411 people, what are the hearts feeling? What about the elders that's going to be there on top of that? What are they feeling when they hear all this information about all this wrongdoing, all the corruption, all the secrets, all the things that they were supposed to have been doing for all these years and have not? So again, we're learning so that we can do something about it. And we're taking our time so that everybody understands what they have not been doing. Besides looking at the minutes that they haven't been allowing the people to get or even hear, the next part of the meeting is also going to probably upset you a little bit. The next part of the meeting is reports. After the agenda has been set, now the first part of the meeting should be the calling of reports. This is where your committees come forward to give their report to the board or the General Assembly. If there's a subcommittee or subcommittees, this is where they come to give their report. Let me show you. Is it here? No, at the table. 1 second. Right here. Okay. Right here. This is, remember this I showed you all? North Carolina General Assembly. They have a Senate. And look over here. This is the list of their committees. These are the committees of the General Assembly. Their committees involve appropriations on transportation. Transportation is another one. Appropriations, base budget is a third. Commerce and insurance, finance, joint commission on governmental operations, rules and operations of the Senate. These are different committees. Now, at this time, after they have the voting of the agenda, that's when the reports come forward before the General Assembly. Reports, findings, standings of the various committees. Where do you stand? What have you achieved? What accomplishments have been done? What is the budget looking like? Have you utilized it all? Where did it go? Is there change that needs to be sought? Do you need to request more money? Do we need to take a vote so that we can issue more? These are where the reports come. Any officers? This is where your CEO comes forward and he gives a report of the standings of the operations of the company. Are there any issues that the board or the General Assembly need to know about? Are there any issues that we need to look into? This is also where there was a committee that comes together to evaluate the CEO. We set up a subcommittee for the purposes of performing the CEO's evaluation, annual evaluation. At this time, we're going to entertain that subcommittee. Thank you, Madam or Mr. Chair. We, the subcommittee, we, as you all know, got together and had a performance evaluation of the CEO and the subjects that we were looking into, the topics that we had discussed and talked about, the things that we were evaluating, whatever the case may be. And according to that evaluation, under this, he scored very high, relatively high. That was a 79 out of a possible 100. Under this, it's kind of mediocre. Under this, 50. This is low, 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 whatever the case would be. Out of a possible 500 points, 5 different scores, 100 each. Out of a possible 500 points, his totality came to 218. Now, whereas we know that they've been trying, and it's been only 3 years. However, even though we would like to give more time, there are a list of concerns that were discovered. Those concerns are blah, 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 blah. This is what they do. The CEO is present. This isn't nothing that's hidden or behind closed doors. This is all in the open because they're there to handle business. The General Assembly's job, these people, they know that they're there to serve the state of North Carolina by evaluating politicians, looking at the performance of governors, mayors, anybody that has any type of influence or persuasion. If you are in public office, you have dealings with the General Assembly of the state. Some states call it state legislature. It is still a type of General Assembly. So my point is, at this point in time in that meeting, you got people who traveled from all over the country sitting there for 4 or 5 hours, falling asleep, waiting on a bishop to walk through the door who wasn't even there for roll call. And yet they sit back and they insult many of the members, saying that you couldn't even respect your fellow brother and sisters enough to do what you're supposed to do and keep your responsibilities and obligations. Everybody else did. And they jump on people, especially people waiting at that back door to come in. But you're 4.5 hours late. Somebody had a car break down. Somebody got caught in traffic because it's ridiculous in DC, because they have a family and taking care of the children. along with a wife or a husband. They don't have a staff taking care of their clothes. They don't have a staff taking care of their odds and ends. They're doing it all themselves while trying to get to a meeting of which now they're going to be humiliated and embarrassed just because they got held up in a detour that they could not help, sitting there an hour and a half. Now they got to stand outside and suffer the embarrassment and the ridicule to come before the organization, while the bishops get to eat pancakes, sausage, scrambled eggs and cheese, or omelets, or whatever else. Take their time reading newspapers or lollygagging, looking at their watches, and then tell the staff, okay, I guess we can go on out there. Why? Because they know they're not handling business. They know that this is a joke. While all these people came from all over the country are sitting there asleep. And the General Assembly secretary is sitting there in the front, conducting the show. This is the the ringmaster. The man with the tall hat and the penguin-style jacket in the middle of the circus tent, he's called the ringmaster. He's the one that brings out the next act and the next act. He keeps the crowd entertained. These are not insults. I'm telling you all, this is what they've been doing. While we sitting there not getting anything done, but traveling from all over the country to sit there almost a day. The reports of officers, boards, and committees. The leaders or committee chairmen are supposed to give updates. Example, there's a treasurer's report. There's committee reports. There's a president report. How many times have y'all ever heard the treasurer of the General Assembly get up to give a report? How many times have y'all ever heard them talk about finances in the General Assembly? Ever. They don't. And it's done by design. It's important for this part, for the committees to come forward to give their reports, because the reports is what keeps the members of the General Assembly informed. The members can't make decisions, educated decisions, without accurate information. Well, where's their information supposed to come from if you're not getting any reports? Shoot, you're not even given the minutes to read. You have no idea what was even in the last General Assembly, let alone a report on budget and finance, on expenses, utilities, on any building expansion program. We have bishops that wrote into the Constitution that the people in the General Assembly and the organization, the congregations in the organization, cannot interfere at all whatsoever with the visions of the bishop regarding building, transactions, buying, building, selling. Nobody can say anything. That's not the law. We've only been told by people over us, as they lied to us, that this is what we do. But this is not what they do outside. When you have these reports not only serve to provide transparency, but these reports also serve to provide accountability. The organization can be transparent and held accountable because now we have the information being provided to the members of the General Assembly / Board of Directors to know that certain issues are being handled, certain problems are being taken care of, certain transactions are being undone or committed and carried out. There is a financial awareness that comes from the reports to the General Assembly. We have updates given to the organization for us as an entire organization to know what's going on. We can answer the question. We can catch the problem. 411 minds working together as one unit instead of one. How's one man going to run this organization by himself? This is why the government created regulating agencies to see to it that one person making decisions and doing everything and nobody has any accountability. There's no checks and balance system, no oversight. No. That's why they made regulating agencies. And that's why the regulating agencies look at the delegates in the General Assembly or to the board of directors and tell them, listen, we can't come up in there, but y'all had better be paying close attention. If you don't, stand by. If you do, congratulations, thank you, we will reward you for it. That's how this business relationship is supposed to work. The government with the organization as a 501c3 give us tax breaks and other benefits for doing what it is we're doing. When you have a treasurer, and the treasurer may report current bank balance, expenses, debts, donations received. Well, now again, you have the knowledge of what's coming in, you have the knowledge of what's there, you have the knowledge of what's going out, you have the knowledge of what is going out for. What I read last night, tithes going to Portal Drive, personal tithes going to the bishop, along with personal gifts. House tithes going to Charlotte. Tithes is tithes. Why do you have tithes going to two different places? It shouldn't matter if it's personal tithes or house tithes. All of it's supposed to be going together in tithes. And all the tithes supposed to be going together in one account. And all the money in that account is supposed to be used for the organization. But you got house tithes going to one address in North Carolina, another one, personal tithes going to the bishop, bus fares going to Brenda Hall, product money going to what, Adam McGahee? Where's the money going when it gets to them? What happens to it at that time? Now, I'm not talking about the money. I'm talking about procedure. Because when you look at the money, now that draws the attention of the government. Mr. and Mrs. IRS. And we as an organization cannot afford to allow this to continue going on now that we know about it. Before, we didn't know about it. I was way indoctrinated. We didn't know anything about it. But now we can't allow this to continue. If we don't have the reporting from the committees read to the General Assembly delegates, then without reports, the leaders can hide information. Without the reports, the members lose trust. And without the reports, Financial abuse goes unnoticed. Misappropriation of funds is not even questioned. Well, no wonder we're having the financial problems that we're having because we have not been getting any reports. The council's been getting used, but the people aren't getting used. And only to find that we have now documents that's filed in all these different locations in government municipalities, records indicating people on boards of directors all over the house of prayer. There's a board over here. Here's a board over there. There's a board. There's a board. Here's a board. There's a board. And none of the members knew anything about it. And all these board members all over the place, trustees all over the place. Here's a trustee. There's a trustee here and there and another trustee that none of us knew anything about. What are these boards doing? What are the people on these trustees doing in the organization? And why isn't any of them telling any of us? Why isn't any of those board members talking about the boards that they're on? Why is everything so secretive? Because things have not been on the up and up. And that's why there's zero transparency. And this is why we have to clean this up. We have B. Methman says at Baby Blue, I hope so too. They have a tendency to freeze under the big bright lights. Yeah. Under the lights, everything stops. Remove the lights, start squirming again, doing all kinds of things. And we've had all kinds of things done. I would give you some examples about how the money is going around. But one, you won't like it. Two, you probably wouldn't believe it. Three, we don't want our left hand to know what our right hand knows. So with that in mind, let's continue. Baby Blue says, the United House of Prayer members do not realize the power that they have. And that power is to not give another dollar for anything. That would get the attention of the top, but the attention of the top has already been gotten because the dollar amounts have dropped drastically all over the organization. You all pay attention, right? Mr. Cunningham is now talking about praise, worship, sacrifice everywhere. But what he really means is sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. Because, of course, the members of the House of Prayer knows that when you're talking about sacrifice, you're talking about money, 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 money. That's what he's talking about. And now he's at the extent telling people, sure, you can call me mother. Sure, you can call me mother. You can say happy Mother's Day, Addie. Why? This is such a money grab that any way, whatever way I can get it, just bring it. Money grab, money grab, money grab. Now, how many pastors are going to be pushing the members for money for Mother's Day? They give love gift for Mother's Day to the bishop. Money grab. When you look at all these other things that has been done to get the money. Look at the walkathon. Someone said earlier today, he said that he cared about his people, the members, the children. So I want y'all to get out and walk. walk, people walk. Well, it turns out that's just another money grab. $50 to register for uh, pastors and elders, regular members, non-pastors, elders, 25, young people, 10. Money grab. But there's no answers for anything going to the people. Nothing. This has to stop. Now I'm telling you all, as I conclude here and finish this up, I'm telling you, we had better handle this. Because if we handle it, at least our hands are on it to steer and control where it goes as far as the organization. However, if outside beat us to the punch, there's no guarantee what's going to happen. We don't think that things are going to go sour. But the problem is during an investigation, we need to have some control over what happens, what takes place, how to navigate through all of this stuff so that we can get to the end of it and then get back on track. There won't be a guarantee if they beat us to the punch. But we have the opportunity to knock all this out. So I'm going to be sharing and letting you all know what you need to hear. It's going to be a little bit bumpy, but all of this power and all of this authority is yours. And we're going to empower you with knowledge. Anything means pastors offering, church offering, tithes, the bishop's love gift, the Daddy's Club fines, everything. Just don't do nothing. If you want to go to jump up and down and dance to music, fine. Just jump it up and down if that's what you need to do. As members, that's okay. Just stop giving. If the pastors don't get an offering, they cannot survive unless they do have a real paying job. Yes, and I've shared with people already, but again, you all on the channel don't see the impact that's going on in our organization. People have stopped. A lot of people have stopped all over, and things are just quiet. But y'all keep paying attention. Y'all have seen the crowds, how they're shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. Just keep paying attention. Beam Ebderman says, so he gets Father's Day now. Father's Day and now Mother's Day too. Yes, Mother's Day too. As of last year, I think it was Mr. Commodore who started it. And he went back to Philly this year and they did it again. And he gladly told the people, y'all can say Happy Mother's Day, Addie. I played that last night. Yeah. Mr. What do you believe? Work does not equal money. You pay in a church. Work does not equal money you pay in a church. When they say, thank you for your works, they're talking about money. Now, Mr. What do you believe is pointing out what we talked about, that when the scripture talks about your works, the scripture is not talking about a dollar bill, right? Work does not equal how many nights you attend a church service and participate with an auxiliary. That's not work. They're saying that all these things that people are doing, it is misguided. It is not your work. If the members separate from these beliefs, they won't fear what happens if they stop giving money to the church, right? I'll tell you all again, people are being blessed beyond measure and experiencing life as they did not know it before. To stop giving and to stop doing all these things while they drain and drain and drain and drain and drain. No stress, all of the anxiety, the worryation, all of that just It's so much better not being under the weight of being guilted into things while you're being pushed and chairman's getting up yelling, telling you to get excited, get excited, get excited. And you going home knowing that you broke and you don't have after giving it to millionaires. These things must stop. They can't put you out. If the bills don't get paid and the gas gets cut off, do the members believe they will be cursed? Will you be cursed? No, they need to be paying the bills. Excuse me. They need to be paying the bills. All the money coming in, and yet headquarters tell these pastors, well, y'all make sure y'all paying your bills. But he's not saying that when he up there telling people, thank you for your love. All this money. But again, it's steadily dropping. It was dropping last year, the beginning of the year, and been dropping ever since. And that's why y'all hear him yelling in these speeches that he's giving. John Sales says, wow, happy Mother's Day, Addie, sounds so demonic. Yeah, it's what it is. That's what he said. I played the recording last night. Now look at what's next. Again, if these reports are not given, financial abuse goes unnoticed. The next order of business on the agenda should be old business or unfinished business. This section handles issues that were not completed in previous meetings. Now, how are you going to know those issues if you haven't heard the minutes? You don't know what's been completed in previous meetings. You don't know what's not completed. You don't know what unfinished business is because you haven't heard the minutes. I'm telling you, all of this is by design. It's all by design. The old business provides continuity, meaning what you didn't get done today, y'all know how you get back to it tomorrow? Well, in a meeting, y'all pick it up the next meeting. We didn't finish this then, we're going to pick up right here next. But notice my case from May 2023 never got picked up again. Mr. Cunningham doing everything he can to keep it right there. But of course, it's coming up again. This also ensures follow through for old business, unfinished business, for us to follow through with what we were talking about before. Robert's Rules of Order allows the order to be consistent in these meetings. The old business and unfinished business, this portion prevents unfinished issues from disappearing. The hope is if you have unfinished business that's been tabled, we have not gotten to the bottom of it, but you keep not bringing it up, then hopefully that unfinished business disappears. This unfinished business is not going to disappear. When you have an example, last month, we discussed planning a fundraiser, but we delayed the vote because we didn't have a quorum. So this month, the issue returns under old business. Why? Well, last month you had the discussion because you had a meeting, but you couldn't vote because you didn't have a quorum. So under old business, now that subject comes up again because today you have a quorum. And now you can have your vote. And now that business in the meeting was concluded, it was acted upon, and now it's removed from old business. If you skip the old business, unfinished business, if you skip it, then important issues end up getting forgotten. Important issues. Projects that was put on the table, well, now they get stalled. Where we live, people moved, from up north, from West Coast, all around this area. They moved here. It went from 29,000 to nearly double in 3.5 years. Now, all the traffic on the roads are backed up like crazy because the roads were not built to sustain on a regular basis, day after day, certain times of day, that many vehicles. So now you're literally looking at a stoplight, and the cars at that stoplight have backed up for nearly a half a mile. No exaggeration. So now the city is widening the roads, but the work on the roads is slowly developing because there's so much traffic, they have to interrupt the work that's being done to widen the roads. So now what could have possibly taken maybe 9 months is taking up to a year and a half. The work is getting stalled because of interference. Before that, when they voted on it, the streets were supposed to be started widening 3.5 years ago. They postponed it. And that's when an influx of people moved. Now they're saying that they should not have waited. They should have dealt with it then. That's the problem of not handling old business. If this old business had been taken care of October, May of 2023, and it was concluded at that time, we wouldn't be here. The whole organization would not be in this mess, this fix, because we would have addressed these problems at right then and there before the election of a bishop. The organization loses effectiveness if old business is not dealt with. The organization is no longer effective if you don't get back to projects, if you don't complete what you started, if you don't finish what you put on the table, if you don't go back and pull it forward. Eventually, other things lag until now you have a problem where nothing's getting done. And this is what has happened with accountability. Because we have all these books being given to the members, follow this, follow this, follow this, follow this. If not, this is going to be a violation. If not, that's going to be a violation. We're going to be checking on the council, and the council is going to be checking on this, making sure that there's compliance. And if you're not doing this, we're going to pull you out of position. We're going to take you, and we're going to fine you, and maybe other punishment according to the seriousness of the case. Listen, all this stuff, but now that you get caught along with those men, but and you've literally ignored it for now going on 3 years. You've ignored all of your violations. You've ignored it along with the general counsel. and now pastors. And so, as a result of it, now lawlessness is abundantly everywhere to such an extent that all kinds of things are taking place that's never happened before in the organization. It's because we're not fixing our problems. And if you don't fix it, eventually that problem is going to become so backed up, it's going to be overwhelming. And now you have a problem 10 times bigger, all because you didn't fix it when it was small. The next thing in the order of an agenda is new business. New business is when members introduce new topics, motions, and ideas. All of this, again, is conducted by the chair or whoever's presiding over the meeting. New business. This is usually the largest part of the meeting when people introduce all kinds of things. This is where the organization solves the problems. New business is where we're fixing things. New business is where we're making decisions on how to deal with certain things. Is where we create the plans and is where we take action. New business. It allows for members to participate and it allows for a democratic decision-making process. So where right now we have all these leaders, pastors and councilmen and chairmen deciding all these things along with the CEO and coming up with new rules that they've done set. New rules. Well, here, if the new business comes forward, well, now the members can participate and they can make sure that nothing is being done that's going to be new that the members don't know anything about. But because of a lack of member participation, all these things are being done and you're coming up with new rules and no one knows anything about it. And they don't know how we got it. They don't know when we got it. They don't know what to do about it because no one knows anything. We have serious problems by not doing things correctly. If these problems, if we do not entertain new business, then the organization will not be able to adapt. New ideas will never get discussed. And you all know this because you're not having any meetings with your chairmen. In house meetings today, there's no anything hardly being fixed. Members can hardly even bring up new ideas. Whenever you have a state cabinet, nobody's entertaining any problems or issues anymore. It's about what financial obligation they want to put on you. If there's no new business, the members become frustrated, and you don't want the members frustrated because if they get frustrated, they're going to slow down, they're going to slack up until they back up. The next order of business is debate and discussion as we get ready to close up. What is this? This is when the members discuss motions before voting. Every single motion, you're supposed to allow discussion. This part is important because it opens up debate. It allows you to hear the different viewpoints from different members, no matter what their background is or no matter why they like the idea or don't like the idea. And listen to the people's different viewpoints makes for better decision making. It allows for problem solving. It allows critical thinking. And all these things together benefits the organization because now we as a people can make the best decisions. The debating and discussion also has rules. The members must be recognized before speaking. You have to stay on topic. You must respect each other, and you can attack ideas, but you don't attack the person. What purpose does a debate serve? Well, it protects the minority rights, the people who like the idea versus all the other people who don't. Well, the rules of the debate protects the minorities and their rights. It protects free expression. We don't have members coming forward in the General Assembly or other meetings or other venues at all to express their disapproval or their problems or their issues with leadership. Instead, they're threatened. They're told, oh, now we got a troublemaker. No, we don't do that. We don't do that. You don't need to ask questions. When you have members who feel silenced and they can no longer freely express themselves, if they cannot participate fairly, there's poor decisions being rushed through. All of those things combined brings us to a point where the leaders gain too much power. And now we have leaders giving the members an ultimatum. You don't like it? Get out. You don't like me? There's the door. And anybody else who don't like it and don't like me, y'all can get your stuff right out that door. How are you going to be a CEO of a nonprofit and talk like this? Next is voting. When members decide whether to approve or reject a motion. Now, there's several types of voting. You can vote by voice, eye, you can show your hands, you can stand, you can use a ballot, right? That's a secret vote. And this is what you all should be motioning for. In the General Assembly, you should be motioning for a ballot vote. And we're going to talk about that later. But a ballot vote will allow people to vote, and no one knows how they voted. Okay? And there's a roll call vote you can have, calling down the roll and people vote. But the most successful, for the most part, is a ballot vote. Why? Because again, you're not going to have to hear nothing from nobody, depending on how you voted. This part is important, the voting, because it gives legitimacy to the decisions. When the people vote, now you can say that the decisions are legitimate because the people, they discussed it. And then they talked about it and talked about it and talked about it during their discussion, when the discussion, and they came to a conclusion. You know what? I think I can go for that. Now the vote is legitimate. But when people have no clue what you're talking about, why you want to change this, why you want to change that, and here's the language you put in here. It's like that word covenant that's in that 24 Constitution, put there in the 22. And the members have no clue what that is. Okay? So all these things are so important because it puts us in a position where we can do what we need to do legitimately. Voting gives the group, not one person, it gives the group the privilege of deciding an outcome. The group, all the people, not one person. It serves the purpose of measuring how much support is for that idea. There's a measurement. It comes with the numbers of voters. It measures your support. Um, Resolves disagreements. Well, the majority said that they don't like that. And so we're going to go with the majority. Disagreement resolved. It creates official decisions. Well, why we got to do? Well, I know I didn't like it neither, but that's what the people voted. So we got to go with it. And see, the people did not vote for the Constitution. That's what makes it illegitimate. I may go as far as to say the people did not vote for all of these bishops. It looked like it, which is what raises questions of legitimacy. There's problems if you skip the voting. Decisions become unclear. Who made the decision? They become unclear. Okay. Uh, Members, again, they lose their trust. And leaders may claim false approval. I didn't say I was a king. Y'all said that. No, sir, you said you was a king. For the people to not be involved in these things, anybody can show and say that we did this, we did that. And this is where our Constitution comes in, because that's exactly what they're doing. Next is announcements. What is it? Important notices are shared before the meeting ends. Example, upcoming events, future meetings, and deadlines. Again, all of this is for the General Assembly to keep them in the know, keep them in the loop. There's nothing that they should not be aware of. Again, as if they are a board. So here, this is important because announcements keep the members informed and engaged. It serves the purpose of coordinating activities, improving communication, and preparing the members for future actions by having the announcements. Without announcements, members miss important information. Participation goes down. Communication suffers. With all of these things in place, organizations should begin to thrive because you have member participation, you have membership trust, you have information being freely given, you have an open door policy for questions, you have full transparency, and you have the people who are empowered to make the decisions. They'll thrive. Last, you have the adjournment, the official ending of the meeting, where the members move to adjourn, another member seconds, and the group votes. This is the formal ending of official business. Once the adjournment of the General Assembly, everyone in there, you lose your power. You have no more power until there's a need to come to another General Assembly. In other words, board members, General Assembly members, you are not the boss when you're walking alone. You are the boss when you come together with the body of delegates from around the organization. You are the people. And every single pastor is at your mercy. Every single officer is at your mercy. Every single bishop is at your mercy. Now, I know you're saying right now, we can't do the law says, the law says. This is why I keep telling everyone you cannot trust in a law in a constitution that was put together illegally. The Constitution was assembled in such a way that it's easy to pick it apart. And as it unravels before our very eyes, and the men and the women in the positions that they've been over this organization, as their foundation trembles and shake and fall apart, all of the members of the organization need to be understanding that when you vote for a delegate to send them to the General Assembly, you are putting the organization in their hands. And this is why the members need not only to clean house of these men and women, but to also, excuse me, but to also remember and take into consideration that we would not be here if it were not for the negligence of all these people that are here right now in all these positions. We wouldn't be here if the people stood up who were supposed to stand up, meaning all those councilmen, all those pastors, if they had stood up when they're supposed to stand up and question things, these things might not even be today. So you can fix what's broken. It's an easy fix. And I'm telling you, it can take less, literally less. I said before a little bit longer, but this can take less than 20 minutes. 20 minutes. If the people come together and do these things, hold an official meeting accordingly, the way it's supposed to be held, if you come together, putting out motions onto the floor, come together to second those motions, and then have those motions voted on, then you are now exercising your power. And it's each and every single vote that determines each and every single thing in that General Assembly. One more thing. The Constitution itself, the Constitution can be changed anytime the people want. Anytime. All it takes is a motion. Once a motion is put on the floor and it's seconded, then that vote goes out. If there are more votes in favor of whatever the motion is, whatever that vote is, then those majority members win. When it comes to the Constitution, we're going to talk more about this in the next couple of days. But when it comes to the Constitution, everything is just a vote. When it comes to the positions, everything is just a vote. When it comes to the offices, everything is just a vote. Vote, vote, vote. That's all it is just a vote. And remember, as I played last night, Mr. Cunningham said, we don't need no 3, 4, 5 people voting. We don't need no communal. Nobody need to be voting and having discussions on what we're going to do, when we're going to do, how we're going to do, what we're going to build a house of prayer, where we're going to build it. He's saying that because he wants you all to not worry about the Constitution or his position. He wants you to not worry about the General Assembly and what's going to take place. He wants you to be entertained. And so by continuing to entertain him, then we're also going to continue to put out more and more information so that everyone will know going into that room that this is over. So I will come back, if it's our Father's will, on tomorrow, and we will pick up on um, why governments require a board, and we will get into uh, the actual wording of Robert's Rules of Order. And we're going to break that down. We're going to show you an actual agenda, and we're going to kind of pick at that and pick it apart while using Robert's rules and the wording of how to put motions on the floor and how to respond if those motions are blocked. So again, don't worry about anything. Our trust is in our Father. And all of you who have still some doubt about whatever, don't worry about it. Be upset. That's okay. Don't like what's going on. That too is okay. But just keep coming, keep seeing, watching what it is that we're putting out. And you too will be able to attest to the fact that there will be a transitioning of the people's mindset slowly as we approach the weekend of the General Assembly, which is next week. With that said, I want to thank each and every one of you for your time, for joining in with us tonight, and for your commenting on the things that we've shared here. We hope that you have a pleasant rest of your evening and a wonderful night. We hope that you are able to wake up, clothed in your right minds, and enjoy your day tomorrow, if it's our Father's will. And that said, there's something else I think I'm missing, but with that said, we'll see you in the next video and we'll cover it next time. Have a good one, everybody.